I'm going to speak about contracts with the Confederation of Construction Specialists. But first I'm going to sort of celebrate construction. I mean, isn't construction a great industry? The things we build and the products we use nowadays are really awe-inspiring. For example, let's get this. What would you do with 56,000 square metres of glass? What would anybody do with it? You'd build that. The shard. A shard of glass, 309 metres high, into the clouds. Who would not build that? What a fantastic building. What a fantastic product. It was Europe's tallest building when it was built in 2012. What would you do if you like camping, for instance? Anybody like camping? Everybody likes camping. What would you build if you liked camping? What about a tent? I mean, why would you not build a tent? It's fantastic. The Millennium Dome Arena is 52 metres high, one week for every year, for every week in the year, metre. The entire roof weighs less than the air that's stored inside the building. I mean, isn't that brilliant? Why would you not build that? I mean, it's just brilliant. What about the Scottish Parliament building? Sterling Award building. Fantastic building. I don't really understand what the bits over the windows are, but however, they look really good, and it won a Sterling Award prize, so it must be fantastic. What if you want to build a building that is different and would stand out? We'd build that, the walkie-talkie building. I like that picture because it really shows the curve of the walkie-talkie building. It was supposed to be higher than that, if anybody doesn't know, but St Paul's Cathedral was behind it, so it thought I think it was going to block the light out. So basically, they've took a load of the middle floors out. Made it look a bit more stumpy, but it's still a brilliant building. What if you were interested in toilets? That's what you thought about all the time, toilets. What would you build if you just like toilet access? Well, you'd build that. You'd build London Arena. It has the most toilets than any other building, single building on the planet. 2,618 toilets. I mean, brilliant. Well, how fantastic is that? Just think about that for a minute. 2,618 toilets. That's enough for thinking about toilets. Well, we'll move on. This is a housing estate. We build housing estates. Obviously, every housing estate we build has a lovely blue sky above it. The construction is so good, we always get blue skies wherever we build, which is why I like that picture so much. Construction is a huge puzzle. It's about bringing a multitude of contracts and suppliers together, slotting them together in the correct order to create a vision. That's what construction basically is. Everybody working together, holding hands, helping each other out, overcoming problems, and then, when it's finished, having a bit of a party, a bit of a rave, move on to the next project. That's what construction is. And I'm sure everybody here recognises that. But getting back to the real world, it's probably not like that at all. It's probably more like that. It's probably like jousting. That's what construction is. It's a lot of jousting. When you're looking at contracts, when you're looking at how things are going, it's a lot of jousting. It's trying to get your money when you want it at the right time. That's what it's a lot of headbutting. That's what it is. In reality, you may create the vision down the road, but that is what it's about. It's about getting paid on time and the full amount, and it can feel like that. And for subcontractors, especially subcontractors, it's absolutely exhausting. You spend so much time just trying to get paid on time, and a lot of the time is what reason is it for doing that? It's because the contracts you sign or the contracts you've done at the time, you don't look at them. You don't look at them properly, and you should do. But for small subcontractors or any subcontractors, it is exhausting. And in fact, main contractors have the same problem, which I'll go into a bit later. But I will talk about why we do this. Why is it like this? I mean, why is it headbutting, jousting? Why is it so exhausting? One of the reasons is main contractors. Now, I feel sorry for main contractors a lot of the time. I feel more sorry for subcontractors who I actually represent. But But main contractors bring a lot on themselves. They do unrealistic tendering, without a doubt. They're going massive projects, and they're looking sort of like 0.5 to 3% profit. I mean, it's unbelievable. And some main contractors go in at 0.9%. So they're actually tendering for a job to make a loss. So how do they get that back? They've got to make the money somehow. So how are they doing it? Well, they rely on variation orders. They rely on redesigning of the contract or up designing. That's what they're doing. And they also rely on squeezing the supply chain, which is the subcontractors, product manufacturers, everybody. So people are tendering projects, they're getting the project, and then they have to retender because the main contractor says, well, actually, yes, we've accepted it, but it's not good enough now. We've got to reduce that down. So they also use retention money. They shouldn't be using retention money, but they are using retention money. They're using retention money to pay for their bills. They shouldn't be doing it, but they are. And we all know they are. Subcontractors all know they are, which is why they're generally adding 1 to 3% onto their prices, because they know they're not going to get retention money back, which obviously adds on construction inflation, which obviously at the top end, the client is trying to reduce the costs to make it cheaper, but everybody's adding money on because they know it's not working properly. The whole construction industry, or a lot of it, isn't working how it should do. And I'm sure people in here who are in the construction industry recognise that scenario of how it goes. Main contractors have dug themselves a big hole, basically, and they're lowering subcontractors into it, which is why I've got that picture up there. It's all I could do at the time. But they are lowering subcontractors. They're using them as a ladder to get themselves out of the hole that they've created themselves, which is difficult. It's a difficult scenario. Subcontractors are being squeezed, the main contractors are being squeezed, and if you look at how much profit the main contractors are making, they're not making a lot of profit. Subcontractors aren't making a lot of profit. Somebody's making profit, and I'm not sure exactly who it is in this scenario at the moment. So basically, what are main contractors doing? Well, hang on. Microsoft PowerPoint is restarting. Oh, back to. Can you? Yeah, can you talk amongst yourselves?
Where are you?
Yeah, keep going. That's it, keep going. Yeah, that'll do. Cheers, thanks very much. Thank you. It was good to have a man on hand. So what are main contractors doing? Well, they're pushing risks downwards. They're pushing risks. They're trying to take the risk themselves. They've gone in. They've tendered low. So what they've got to do? They have to take the risk. They have to push the risk down through the subcontract base. They don't want to take all the risk because they haven't got any money to pay for any risks. So they've got to push it down. How do they push it down? Through terms and conditions, through contracts. They're basically taking the risk away from themselves and putting it onto the subcontractors. Onerous clauses, things like that they're doing. In most industries, if there's the risk, you increase your pay. You ask for more money. In construction, it seems to be going the opposite way. If there's more risk, you can't ask for more money. So what do you do? And the trouble is, subcontractors are accepting contracts that have got onerous clauses in it that the main contractors have put into it. And I don't blame the main contractors for doing it because they want to push the risk down to subcontractors. But what I do blame is the subcontractors for not reading or understanding the clauses and accepting them in the first place. The Bibby Financial Services Subcontracting Growth Report did a growth report, and they looked at contracts. 19% of subcontractors do not thoroughly check contracts before they sign them. I mean, how insane is that? I mean, it's just absolutely insane. 38% of subcontractors state that construction contracts are too complex to understand. Why would you try all that effort to get a contract and then not read the contract? Just sign it. and which is great for the main contractors because they can push it down, put onerous clauses in, and push the risks down. People have got to start thinking about, or subcontractors have got to start thinking about contracts. They've got to understand what they're doing and what they're signing. The Arcadis 2018 report, who does reports across the world of disputes in contracts, and what's the first or second, third? What the disputes are about? So in the UK, does anyone know what the biggest dispute is in contracts? Any idea? No. A failure to properly administer the contract. So you've done all this work. You've got your subcontract. You've gone to main contractors. All these small businesses. They've done the work. They've put their reputation on the line. They've got a contract. They've got a contract with the main contractor, and then they don't administer it properly. I mean, it's insane. It is absolutely insane. The second one, employer contract subcontractors failing to understand and comply with its contractual obligations, which tells me that that links to failure to administer the contract. So again, you've got these contracts and you're not administering them properly. And why would you do that? And the third one is failure to serve the appropriate notice under the contract. So they're the three biggest things in the UK of why in disputes with contracts. Now when I look at all that, that sort of tells me people don't understand the contracts and they haven't done any training in the contract, in contract law or how to administer contracts. There's plenty of courses out there to do training. And I used to go around saying, oh, you should try and do it, but now I get fed up with it. And that's why I say you've got to do it. If you don't do it, you're foolish, because you have to understand the contracts. People have to understand, subcontractors have to understand contracts and what they're signing. I'm Confederation of Construction Specialists. We have a lot of members, and we have also associate members who are lawyers and solicitors and them sort of things. And they do a lot of disputes. And they tell me these are the mistakes. I don't know if you can all see these, but they're the general mistakes that people make. So if you see anything up there that you're actually doing, don't do it, or reconsider what you're doing. There's quite a few up there. Now, it's not just subcontractors that do these mistakes. If you think Carillion, massive company, obviously they've gone now, but a massive company, you'd think they'd have people in their office who would understand contracts, and they probably did. However, they were guilty of number 4 and 5 up there. And if you look at them, I mean, why would you do that? Accepting fitness for purpose clause in a subcontract, especially when designed by third parties. I mean, that's just anything with design in it. You've really got to look at design. I mean, design is a killer of companies. Anybody who takes a design part on a contract is looking for trouble further down the line. They've got to stop doing that. Number 5 there, agreeing to accept obligations. What was that? And risks that they cannot control. I mean, you wouldn't do that, but Carillion did it, and it caused their insolvency. It's one of the things. Molum, who have gone as well, they did number 8. We're working to a letter of intent with a maximum value, carrying out work in excess of that maximum value. So you've agreed to do something, and then you're carrying on doing more and more than you should be doing. Cause their insolvency. They need to read contracts. And just remember, no contractor or subcontractor has ever gone broke because it refused to accept onerous contracts or subcontracts. If there's clauses in contracts, remember, main contractors, they want to push the risk down. If you see onerous clauses in contracts, don't accept them. Negotiate them. Get them out. Ask why they're there. If you have to accept them, ask, well, we want to accept them, we're going to put more money on it because it's more risk. Now, I know that sounds like, oh, that's not going to happen, but it should be happening. It should start happening. At least you should have a debate about it, because contracts are killing construction companies, or not reading the contracts or signing contracts they shouldn't be signing. But if you don't sign them and walk away, you're not going to go bankrupt. Can we change can we change these things? Can we change training? Well, he says we can. Yes, we can. Yes, we can change. We can look at changing and do what we have to do. And how do you do it? First of all, you don't be a pushover. You have to empower yourself and train. Training is the way to do this. It builds confidence, encourages more advantageous contract negotiations. If you understand what you're doing, you can negotiate the contracts properly, because you do get pushed to one side because people don't realise. If you don't realise what you're doing, you're just going to end up signing lots of contracts. But if you go on a training courses and understand contracts, you can negotiate when you're speaking about contracts. That's who we are, Confederation of Construction Specialists. Been around since 1983. We do lots of things: campaigning, legal advice and guidance, company checking, all that sort of stuff. One of the big things is trying to get people to understand they should train, they should do contract training. It's difficult to get people to understand it and to do it. I think there's a lot of things like, well, we're doing okay at the moment. We're getting 80% of our money that we put in, so that's fine. Where you should be actually getting another 20%, and people are coming happy that they're getting 80% of what their price was. I mean, it's just madness. I mean, there's no other way. You couldn't go into a Boots or somewhere like that and buy something and say, I'm going to pay you 80%. You're going to say, oh yeah, that's okay. I mean, it's not going to happen. It shouldn't happen with construction either. If you put a price in for 100%, you should get 100% out. You shouldn't be happy with 80% because you haven't read the contract properly, or you're not complying with the contract, or they're actually just pulling wool over your eyes. You should actually be able to understand what you're doing, what the law is about, and how to use it effectively. Those sort of things we do. We do a lot of contract training. I'll just take you down to in-house bespoke course at the bottom. We do a lot of in-house bespoke courses for companies. How that works is if a company comes to us, they've got problems within their department or within the company, or they want a lot of people trained at once, we'll go to them and talk to them about that. We'll do a course for them for bespoke. And also the Arden University Back Construction Contractual Disputes Avoidance Programme is a very good programme that we do in conjunction with Arden University. And that's over sort of 8 months. It does, there's about 7 courses over 8 months. You have to do an assignment at the end because it's level 4, so it's with the university. But that's a very good course, and everybody who's gone on that course says how good it is. And in fact, one person, I just mentioned one of our members who's been on the course. He was so impressed with the course he went on. I know I'm saying it because I'm Confederation Construction Specialist, but however, he did say when he went back, he was managing director, he went back, he told his company that they want to do a Carillion anymore. This was about 2 years ago, and there was a massive for them at the time. It was like I think it was about 40% of their work, and it was sort of millions. And they said we've got to phase out Carillion. We've got to phase them out. We can't do this anymore. It was a massive board discussion, and it went back and forth. In the end, they decided to stop all Carillion work. Just end the contracts and not take any more on, which is massive to them at that time. It was huge. When I phoned him up after Carillion went bankrupt, insolvent, I said to him, and he told me this story, and he said when he was reading that, he was so relieved, not relieved for the people who are out of work, but so relieved that he actually persuaded his board to stop working for Carillion. And that was all on the fact that he went on these courses. Because he understood then what the contracts he was signing and what all the clauses were and not the pay and all that sort of things. So these things can help. You may not notice it, but they do. If you get people in your organisation that understand contracts, it certainly will help you. You may not notice it from day to day, but you'll certainly notice it when things go wrong. But they shouldn't go wrong, because if people understand contracts, it should go right, and you should get 100% of your money, or at least very much part of it. So if you understand contracts, you understand training, this is what will happen. You'll be all happy. That's what it is. You'll be happy people. You will go out on the hills and you will jump around for joy. That's what happens, especially the bloke on the left, on the right at the end. And the person in the middle, I don't think they really got the idea of jumping in time. However, that's what will happen. So, brings back the first slide. Don't be a pushover, empower yourself and train. Understanding contracts, you need to train, and you'll understand contracts. That's who we are. If you contact me, if you want to do any training, just let us know, or we'll have a talk. We've got lots of people, so that's who we are, and that's the website for us. Thanks. Thank you very much for that. Thank you.